Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Dinie and our children in upstate New York in the Catskills because Dinie's father, Baruch Hashem, celebrated his 90th birthday, and all of his children, grandchildren, and grandchildren came together to spend Shabbat to celebrate his 90th birthday. And Kenai Nahara, there are over 100 descendants, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, here for Shabbos celebrating his great accomplishment of building such a beautiful, magnificent family. In yesterday's Torah portion, amongst the many commandments, we read the mitzvah of Arla. Arla says that when you plant a new tree in Israel, for the first 3 years, you cannot eat the fruit of the tree. And the 4th year, you have to take the fruit to Jerusalem to eat it there. And then from the 5th year on, you could eat from the fruit of the tree. And the Jewish law asks the following question. What happens if you have a tree? It could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years old, even 100 years old. And then you replant it. You uproot it and replant it somewhere else. Do you start the count all over again of the 3 years? Or is it already considered a tree that you're permitted to eat the fruit? And Jewish law says it depends. The Mishnah in Tractate Arla says that if you uprooted the tree without its soil, without its base of natural nutrients and its material that it depends on, and it now needs to acquire new soil in the new location to grow, then it's considered a new tree, a new planting, and you have to start counting the 3 years all over again. But if, together with the tree and its roots, you took the soil, the hard bed of soil around it, so that when it's relocated, it doesn't need new soil from the new location to survive, to live, then it's just considered a transplant, and it's not considered a new planting. It's just a continuation of the old tree. It may be in a geographically new location, but it's actually the same tree from the first location. And when I think about my father-in-law, Rabbi Chazanov, he was born 90 years ago in Samarkand, Russia. Came to America with his parents, met my mother-in-law, and got married and started a family. And when you look at all of his descendants, you see all of them going on the path that he charted for them. A path of Torah, a path of mitzvos, a path of Jewish pride and identity. And you say, how did he do it? How did he come to a foreign country, America, and maintain and build such a beautiful tree with so many branches, over 100 branches with fruit and descendants of 4 generations? And the answer is that when he transplanted his tree from Samarkand, Russia, he didn't come to America looking for new soil for his tree to grow. He brought with him his traditions, his family heritage, his beliefs, his values. Yes, he was in a new location, but it was the same tree. It was the same home, environment, upbringing that he got in his home back in Samarkand. And that's the secret to Jewish continuity. All of us are part of a tree that goes back thousands of years. But we have to remember where our soil, our nutrients, our nourishment comes from. It has to come from our heritage, from our faith, from our connection to Torah and mitzvahs, going all the way back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, to Moses, to Aaron, to all of the great heroes of Jewish history. And then we could thrive and grow and produce beautiful, delicious fruit, no matter which location geographically around the world fate and destiny brings us to live. There's a story about a man who was a hat salesman, traveling salesman. And one day, he's tired. He stops along the way. He sits down under a tree, puts down his hats, and takes a nap. When he wakes up from his nap, he sees all his hats are gone. He looks around, and he sees that there's a tree above him, and on every branch, there's a monkey wearing one of his hats. He's thinking, how am I going to get my hats back? So he remembers monkey see, monkey do. So he takes his own hat, throws it on the ground. Sure enough, all the other monkeys throw their hats on the ground. He grabs his hats and runs off. He comes home and tells his kids the story. And it becomes like a legend in the family. Well, a number of generations later, his great-grandson was also a traveling hat salesman. And he had the same story. He was traveling, he took a nap, he put down his hats, took a nap, and when he woke up, he saw his hats were gone. The monkeys were wearing his hat. So he remembers what his great-grandfather did. He said, I'll do the same thing. He throws his hat down on the ground, waiting for the monkeys to do the same and do what his great-grandfather did by grabbing the hats and going. But suddenly one of the monkeys jumps off the tree and grabs his hat. And before he runs, the monkey turns around and looks at him and says, what do you think? You're the only one who had a great-grandfather? Everyone has grandparents and great-grandparents. But we have to be the parents and great-grandparents who will inspire our children and grandchildren to follow along the path of Judaism so that they could look back at us and be proud of us and say, we had grandparents like everyone else, but our grandparents charted a path for us that links us to all of Jewish history and will always be the nutrients and the soil that will enable us to flourish and grow wherever life may bring us, our children,